reset, rejuvenate. Go to our link right now to restart your life. TheRewindSport60.com. What are you waiting for? Hope to see you soon. The Rewind Sport 60.
Alvin talked about maybe it was trying to get you moving more. Was that did you kind of feel that maybe more than the last game, kind of get you moving on offense? It just hasn't worked that way?
Oh yeah, for sure. Just not trying to stay still. Sometimes I find myself standing still, so it's just a matter of if I feel like I'm standing, just circle around and just find an open spot.
A lot of that was, there was a lot of contact. I'm sure you probably just get used to having to deal with contact around the rim, huh?
Yeah, for sure. I'm a big guy, so it is what it is. I grew up not calling fouls, so I've kind of been doing it my whole life.
How have you been able to adjust to the pro-style game? Obviously, it's preseason, a couple games under your belt so far, but what's been the adjustment like for you?
The adjustment has been real smooth. Just learning process. We were down 25, almost 30, and got the win. That stuff I'm gonna have to get used to. It's just learning to keep that edge throughout the whole game.
Were you surprised that the Bulls actually scored 45 points in the second quarter to go into the locker room up, and then you guys went down by 23 points, but the fight in your team to continue to come back and go on a 14-8 run late in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, they caught heat. They were hitting threes rapid fire, so it was just a matter of us just coming together as a team and just trying to figure out what's wrong.
What do you think of Nikhil in the last quarter,
It didn't surprise me at all. I know Nikhil, I know what he can do, so I was happy he got to go out there and show the world he could do that.
What do you think about the positions that you were talking about giving you the ball on the move? Do you feel like that was the case in last week? It seemed like they were able to get
oh yeah, for sure. It's just a matter of me not standing still and me always being on the move to try to find an open spot.
Thank you, sir.
What's it like playing alongside Shadowski?
Great, man. He pushed the pace. Even a couple of the turnovers that he had,
with the right play. You're just gonna fill it out. A couple of the lobs or the back doors. It's gonna be fun for somebody like me who can get out and get in transition, and it helps me move without the ball a lot better. There were a couple of times tonight where you had a lineup out there with 5 shooters on the floor. Yeah. What is that going to do for you guys, especially for you, because teams can't double up on you? It opens the paint up, and it creates 2-on-1 opportunities, especially like when I do drive the ball. They don't have to either stay at home, or if they bring help, we have 5 shooters, so it definitely opens the floor up.
Looked like you were having some fun with the something because of the Pelicans rookie was happening.
Yeah, I wanted to see what it was like in firsthand, so I'm a competitive guy. He's the truth.
Jim said you guys look like he wants you to look, played how he wants you to play. When he says that, what do you think he means? What do you guys kind of mean by that?
I can't really interpret what he says, but from what I think is, obviously what we've been implementing and the different, the options that we have on the court with the smaller lineups and getting up and down and playing fast, and I feel like that's what we did. We had a little bit more energy, obviously, and I think that's what he meant. Thanks. Appreciate it, Zach. Short and sweet.
And,
Kobe White.
Anything you haven't seen?
Nah, I'm used to it by now. I'm used to him going 12 for 13 from the field.
He fits right in, doesn't he?
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
Yeah, powerful, strong, finish at the rim. So I get to the free throw line, so, it's nothing I've never seen before, from him.
So you guys let a lead get away down the stretch, and you're the main guy on the floor at that point. What sorts of things do you learn from what happened last few minutes?
Just to adjust, man, and keep playing with the edge. We kind of let up. We kind of let our foot off the gas a little bit, and hats off to them. They started hitting a bunch of shots, and there was, most of them was contested. So like Coach said, they hit a contested 3. Good shot and move on to the next play.
On the plus, though, the ball movement, especially first 3 quarters, you had to love that.
Yeah, we was very unselfish tonight, and you see, when we're playing unselfish and everybody's sharing the ball, you see what we can do. We went up by 20, so, just playing unselfish. Like what Coach preaches, don't dribble the ball too much, just play unselfish and get everybody involved. And, I think the ball finds energy, when you're moving it, it finds its way in the basket.
Coach said the last place. Anything happened in particular?
It was just, he said look for the cut too, also. So I think I was kind of overthinking it. I stepped in, the kill was face guarding me, so I gave him a little jab and tried to go back door and see if Felicio could get it to me because nobody was in help. Everybody was hugging their man. He couldn't get it to me, so, things happen. Like I said, it's a learning process, man. I'm here to learn, that's it. Got to move on. We got another game Friday, another preseason game Friday against a good team in Indiana. So we got to get prepared for that.
Kobe, you were part of guard combinations, and there were a lot of different lineups. What did you learn from that, and how do you think that helped with all the combinations that you saw?
It just shows how versatile this team is. We had at one point, I think as that we had like 5 shooters on the court, and it was, I feel like that first 3 quarters, whatever combination we had out there was clicking. So. We looked really well. We played really well tonight, and we took a step forward for sure. And I think we're just figuring out the combinations, what works and what doesn't. It's not. I think coaches put together a great combination for us, and to see what would happen, and a lot of good things happen. Just playing better team defense. Playing better team defense. And the last play was drawing up for me. I got to go get the ball. Simple. I got to go get the ball. So, like I said, you learn from it. You learn from it. I'm not blaming it on I'm young, but, I just got into the league and, I'm not making excuses for myself. So, that's on me. That's my fault. I should have went and got the ball.
Thanks. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Open look. Nice. Valentine.
Yeah, nice. That was the first one.
Josh Hart gets inside, flips it up and in. You score that points with that type of efficiency. Alexander Walker has to jack it up. Williams right there to clean it up.
You get one here, you're right in business. been a long time since the game's. There it is.
Jackson steps into the three. Jackson's come off the bench. He's got now 12 points. Trying to make the comeback. Okafor. Hart again. Hits again. Hart from downtown. And a timeout call by Jimmy Boylan.
Oh, here comes this group again.
Okafor against Felicio.
Nice.
2-point game.
In the fourth quarter against your team, because you're probably playing your best guys at that time. So we wanted to really give the guys a chance to make the team against good opposition. I think you owe it to them.
Right.
Or it's important to give the players that are questionable minutes that are quality time in the fourth quarter to whether they can make the team or not.
You don't care about the hot dog, do you?
No.
Kobe White gets inside and banks it home.
Yeah.
And they're going crazy here at the United Center. And again, don't underestimate the Zion Williamson factor. The same thing happened in Atlanta. Three-pointer, Alexander Walker. How about that?
Well, how about 39-18 this quarter? 39-18 Pelicans. Nice give and go.
Shot won't go, but a foul. And he's going to go back to the free throw line. That was a beautiful setup. 5 on the 24. Alexander Walker can't hit. Ball knocked loose out of bounds. Well, they'll look at this. They say it's still Pelicans ball.
You got to make your switch now.
Felicio looking. 5 seconds to go.
You got time.
Ball knocked off. Picked up Arcidiacono in half court. Fires it away. And that's it. It's over.
That was a very good defensive play.
To a good start with the scoring. I think it was 15 first quarter points Monday, 12 tonight. Seeing in the first quarter, trying to get your team off to a good start.
Just letting the game come to me. You know, we need to have fast first quarter starts. Our benches always helped us out. So going out there and doing my part. I just was a lot more aggressive in the second half. I was upset with myself. I had 20 in the first and ended with 20 last game. So like that's, for me, I think that's unacceptable. You know, I got to be more aggressive. So I definitely wanted to do it today.
How about getting them down and keeping them down, keeping the gas
Yeah,
on?
yeah. I mean, that's we usually mess up with that, and you know, we finally figured it out today. You know, I think we should have had a couple more wins where we did that, but we let them back in the game. Multiple games, and finally we were able to take a little bit of a break. So we got to do more of it.
Always fun of those perfect nights from the three-point stripe.
I mean, I don't know if I have one before, but I get it going, and I want to stay that way.
Would you consider like this kind of almost like a perfect game for you guys? The defensive job KD did, you perfect 3, Lowry with 20.
Yeah, I mean it's finally all got put together. Like you said, Chris has been taking on the challenge like last 4 games. I think he's held his opponent like at least 5 to 7 points under his average. So whenever we played him, especially after that first big game, it's been real quiet. Larry did his thing. The bench came in, did their thing. Zell came in, made 4 straight, like freaking free throw line floaters. So I think it was meant to be a good game.
Zach, personally, how much did you need a night like tonight where you didn't have to come back in late? And I think the last 6 games you had been averaging like 36 minutes.
Yeah.
Tonight you're at 26. How much did you need that?
I mean, it feels good. Like I said, you want to have wins like that. It does good for the team, and obviously for the body. So. I'm excited. I was more excited about us just being able to keep the gas on and not have, like you said, not having to come back in, because we played a full game and we wanted to deserve it.
Coach has been talking about you guys have been close, very close. Continue to develop, work hard. You're getting close. You guys got it done tonight.
Yeah, I mean,
is this something you guys can consistently do moving forward? I
mean, that's what we've been trying to put together. I think even though we've had our losses, we've been competing in every game. We've had stretches where we look really good and we look like the better team, but we're coming out with the losses. So, it's 1 or 2 stretches throughout a game that decide a game sometimes. And during those moments we have to learn how to turn it on. And today, in the third quarter, we came out first 5 minutes, we did our thing, and kept it up for the rest of the third and coasted. So, I don't think every game's gonna be like this, obviously, but I think we need to have more of them to where we are able to hold the lead going into the fourth quarter and to the end of the game.
Yeah. Given that it's like a third of the way into the season, is there a feeling of like, hey, it's now or never for us to get going on this and find success?
I mean, I was saying that earlier. You don't want to, our first like 5 games that we lost, like you don't want to lose the games that you go in expecting to win. You expect to win every game, but obviously there don't be tougher ones and things like that. But you don't want to give up just win. So each game you go into is pivotal, but like you said, it's at the point in the season now where you don't want to start piling them up at the wrong time and then you get a little washed away. So we're going to be competitive each and every night. We're going to go out and do our thing. We're still have the same goals set. It's just going to be a little bit harder. We have to lock in a little bit more.
So Tree's not an easy guy for anyone to defend. What did you see out of Chris that made him effective?
I mean, he's a ball hog. Like I said, the last 5 games, he's been holding his opponent under 5 points under, 6 points under his average. He's going to make it tough on him. I think the dude can, mess around, be a first-team all-defensive player, second-team all-defensive player. But, like I said, we just got to get the wins to do it. I said that from the get-go. Everybody, eats off of winning. So the more we start winning, the more recognition, the team and individually will start getting. But, out of defenders, I draw number 1 assignment. I get to play against him every day in practice, so it helps me out. So he's top-notch.
That teardrop floor that Denzel has, is there a name for that?
He got old man's game, so that's what it is. He's real crafty. I think he knows going into the paint and trying to jump over somebody isn't his forte, but that's a high skill, high degree shot. Like I cannot do that. I'm not even going to attempt to do it, but he knocked down 4 of them, and that's consistent. He can do that. When he plays, he brings a high level IQ into the game. He can space the floor, he can pass. He played point guard at college. Obviously, you guys know that. So, we love having him out there and continue to put him back in that rotation. It's been good for us.
Yeah, it seems like he's been playing well off the gap.
Yeah, he knows how to play that 2-man game, throw the lob. He's good with the ball in his hand, and obviously he's a threat, from deep. So we need to continue to, have him take command of that second unit a little bit. Him and Kobe.
Floater get like a special waiver for mid-range shots?
Yeah, I think whatever works, man. Whatever the best shot of the possession, that's what I go with. You guys see me shoot my mid-range still, so it might be the best shot of the possession. I'm gonna take it.
Thank you, Zach. Thank you, bro.
You know my city. Goldsboro, baby. You know my city.
Nah.
How nice just to get them down in the first quarter and keep them down.
It was good. We never let off the gas. We played hard, for all 4 quarters, and we got the job done. And we finished the game tonight, in a big fashion.
Coach, the coach has said to you guys before about finishing your game is that you've been leading all the way. How do you feel tonight about the game?
It was good for us. It was good building a moment. As in previous games we've been kind of struggling to finish, and tonight we kind of just put them away and then just kept them that way. So it was a good win for us.
How about watching Zach being perfect from the 3-point line?
Yeah, I told him, whenever you get it, just shoot it. No matter where you at, he got hot. Started feeling himself a little bit, but it was crazy. It just seems like when he gets in the rhythm, he's impossible to stop.
You were taking it to the rack a lot, penetrating down the hole and getting some easy layups.
Yeah. Just trying to find other ways, to score. I've been kind of labeled as a shooter since I came into the league, and my shot, last couple of games, my shot really hasn't been falling like I wanted it to. So just find other ways to impact the game, rebounding, assist-wise, and tonight, I just wanted to see, just get some to the cup. I wasn't labeled a shooter in college. Getting downhill was kind of my thing. So I'm just trying to get back to that in some type of way.
What did you think of KD's job on Trae Young tonight?
KD's a stopper, man. He takes on the challenge when he's playing against anyone, and he takes on the challenge when he's playing against anyone. And and shout out to Zell. Shout out to my boy Zell. He got me going. Yeah, he got me going tonight. He had a big first half. He was a big help. He gave us a lot of energy, and great teammate. Love him.
If that wasn't fourth down.
Thank you.
My boy.
I don't know if figuring it out is the right word, but you're two close games against good teams, big win tonight.
Right.
You're starting to play your best ball, you think?
I don't think we even there yet, playing our best ball, but we're definitely, building our chemistry, getting the gel right. I think the biggest thing is just going out there, keep competing. We had a lot of close games these past couple of days, and, it didn't go in our favor. Happy to get a win here. We got to get a win versus Hornets Friday.
The defense is trending up. You guys were sixth coming into tonight, sixth in the league in D rating the last 2 weeks. That kind of coincides with you jumping into the starting lineup. How much ownership do you take over that? How much pride is there?
Oh, everybody know on this team, I take a lot of pride in my defense. I try to anchor it, and then I got a big fella behind me, went down in the back, who's going to help me out too also. And, I think my defensive energy allows everybody else to, put their hard hat on and guard too.
You guys had the 4 overtime classic against the Hawks last year. I think Trey got ejected the next game here. Is it fair to say you're more motivated to face him than other people, or are you going to use everyone's the same line on it?
Nah, not at all. Not at all. It's part of the game. I'm guarding the best player. I'm motivated for all of them. That's what I want. I want the best player. I want to see what I got. I like the competitiveness of it. Like last game, Jimmy. I wanted that. Next game is going to be Devontae or Terry Rozier. The next game, I'm telling coach, I want Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. I want that. I want to take it head on.
Pierce was talking about you specifically before the game, saying that they knew you were going to bring physicality, but they're going to try to counter that with his quickness, with drawing you out on like long threes so he can attack the rim. Did you sense that they were trying to do anything differently against you?
Yeah. I think they actually did a good job. They generated a lot of open shots. I think credit our defense. We just brought it today. Basically.
Yeah, but there was a lot of times it seemed like you really bothered him. You kind of got in his head when he stepped out of bounds and then got that delay game thing, like really in his pocket. Did you feel like you were in his pocket tonight?
I take pride in my defense. I know it's not going to be like that every night. It's a lot of talented players in this league. They can score. My job is to make it hard on them. The perfect world, I like to wipe people out. I don't want anything. I don't want them to get nothing. But this ain't the perfect world. There's going to be games where somebody's going to get going. But for now, my job is to take people out.
Do you feel fully settled into your role now from how it's changed from last year to this year?
I'm just going with the flow. Whatever the coaching staff needs from me, the team needs from me, I'm going to go out there and do it. I tell people this all the time. I'm an Army Swiss knife. I can do a little bit of everything, so I'm not worried about, where you put me on the floor. I'm a hooper. I'm going to go out there and hoop.
I know you'll take wins anytime. Was it important to get a complete game win, essentially, at this point of the year?
Absolutely. It builds energy, motivation, going into the next game. We all felt like, the last couple of games we could have got, pulled out some wins towards the end. It didn't go in our favor. Good to, come in here, protect our home court, and get a win tonight.
Jim said about a week ago or so that you thought you deserved some defensive kind of votes. So was that like a goal that you want to achieve and get to?
Absolutely. I feel like, I'm a top defender in this league. I take pride in it, and I should. You could be selfish on the defensive end, but still be fundamentally sound within the team. What's your thoughts on that? You think I should be on the defensive team? I mean, do you see a lot of defenders doing what I'm doing? I'm just asking. If you see, because what I do is a little different. You know what I'm saying? But nah, no jokes aside, that's one of my goals. It's always going to be one of my goals. Until I get on there.
Yeah, I was looking at the stats earlier. Benston has the lead in steals, but per 48, you have the lead over him. Considering he's played more minutes than you have.
Right.
But you have almost a big steal. Switching up offensively, Satoransky was talking earlier how, you kind of changed the dynamic for him, versus Otto, like by being a ball handler and it frees him up to do some different things. Have you seen that?
Absolutely. I think me and Sato, we're gelling very well. He can shoot the ball. He's one of our best shooters on the team. So me allowing to get downhill, throughout the games, since I've been starting, generated a lot of open shots for him, and that's what we want. And, you know, he does the same for me, allowing me to get downhill. I think having two guards out there who could think the same way, you know, it's huge for us.
How close are you guys to playing a complete 48-minute game, consistently, game in and game out?
I think we're actually really close. You know, despite the losses in our record right now, I mean, if you can see the last couple games, you know, against the Raptors, you know, against Miami, that's two good teams. Even the Warriors, you know, we went down to the wire with them. I think we just got to finish plays, you know, keep executing in the fourth quarter. You know, we come out with them wins, we'll be talking about something different.
Thank you, sir.
I thought their starting unit came out and their physicality, their force at which they played hurt us early. Obviously, 34-16 first quarter was a big part of the game. I thought we played harder in the second, and I thought we played better in the third and fourth. I asked the team at halftime to win the third and win the fourth. I asked them to move the ball better in the third and guard better, and I thought we did that. As frustrating as it is, I'm proud of the group for not laying down and dying the way they punched us. I thought we did fight back. Guys came in and competed, and we played better basketball, I thought, the last 24 minutes. Really, about the last 30 minutes, I thought we played better basketball. So they played well. We didn't play well, and that's what happens. You get your butt kicked. So.
Jim, you mentioned the force and physicality with the stuff that they're starting to play with. You also pulled Zach pretty quickly after tip-off. What did you see there?
Yeah, I thought he needed a break. I thought he needed to come in and think about it. I felt there were some defensive mistakes that didn't need to be made, and I thought he needed to come over and think about it for a minute.
You obviously...
I've done that a couple times this year,
right,
as you know. Yeah.
And you've also challenged him to be a better two-way player, both privately and publicly with us. Where do you think he stands?
I think we can all do better. I put a lot of pressure on him to improve and be a two-way player, and we're still in those learning moments.
And you talked about the way that the game closed. How troubling is it, though, that the subs seem to come out and play with this kind of force and energy that you're talking about, but you're not really seeing it consistently from the start?
Yeah. It's frustrating. It's not right. And yeah, it bothers me.
Jim, did you talk to Zach when you pulled him, or did you want him to sit and think?
Yeah, I just pulled him. I didn't, I'm not combative. Guys know.
Right.
They know. Guys know.
There were a lot of
Zach LaVine and Larry Markkinen and our starters got to play better. They got to play better for us to become who we can become. That's how it works. Okay.
It looked like he had some issues closing out. Was that the problem specifically that you saw in him?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into the specifics of it. Yeah. I want him to be a two-way player. That's what I want him to be. So.
There were a lot of breakdowns in that first 4 minutes, and you pulled only with B. Then when he went out, you got outscored by like 15 more.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you just pull him?
Because I didn't want him in the game anymore, Sam. I think he needed to come over and think about it. He had 3 egregious defensive mistakes that I've talked to him about. So.
You just said you weren't going to get into specifics, but then you said 3 egregious ones.
Yeah, I didn't say what they were.
What were the egregious ones?
I'm not going to get into it with you. I'm not going to get into it with you. I'm not.
Why do you think, consistently you can't get consistent play out of your
Starters? Yeah. Out of our starters?
Yeah.
I mean, you could point to many things. Edge, physical toughness, competitiveness. We miss shots, and I think we get a little down. We had some really good looks in the first half we missed.
Isn't that something, as starters, they should bring to the floor
Yeah,
every night,
yeah,
especially
yeah.
you know, coming off of the victory you had.
Yeah,
You know.
played hard against Detroit. We played hard. Our defense has been really good, and yeah, so.
You had some games recently where you indicated that you might finish with different guys, and are you contemplating any make changes to the start with some guys?
You know, I'll process it and think about it. You know, I don't think it's wise to talk about those things after a game like this. Pretty, you know, it's emotional time.
What did you see in Valentine? I hadn't really played.
Yeah, I thought he came in and competed. I thought he got into it defensively. I thought he was communicating. It was great.
Did he get in rotation now? Basically?
We'll see. I mean, we'll see, Sam. Yeah, we'll see.
Jim, when the better players on the team aren't bringing that consistent effort on a night-to-night basis, how difficult is it to set that culture that
Yeah.
you want when you have outings like this?
We are learning about our team. We are trying to push this group to a different level. We've put some pressure on this group, and we're going to keep doing that, and we're going to see how they respond. And that's the only way I know how to do it. You know, we got to just keep pushing them to a place that they can't take themselves, and that's what we're trying to do. And sometimes that comes by sitting, sometimes that comes by playing, sometimes that comes by getting your butt kicked. You know, I think there was some positives tonight. I think there was a group of guys that gritted their teeth in the second half and fought back. We made them put their starters back in, which is, I think, sure frustrating for them. So, you know, we'll build off some of those things, and we'll correct the things we can correct, and, you know, go from there. So, thanks.
Appreciate it.
You know, I thought throughout the game, I felt like we just left some points out there. We just, for whatever reason, you know, missed an open three. We missed 2 doubles at the free throw line. You know, we left some points that I think we could have, and I think it hurt our spirit a little bit. And we got to fight through those moments and keep playing. I thought they played well. I thought they made a lot of tough shots. I thought they made a lot of tough twos. You got to give them credit for that. You know, I thought we were trying, and I just felt like it was one of those nights where the ball didn't go in for us, and we didn't respond very well to it. So that's where we got to grow. So, any questions on that?
Jim, you've been talking about a lot of things, but defensive rebounding has been a big one, and they really hurt you up last night. So what?
Yeah, I thought Labissiere got going a little bit, and Whiteside. I thought, you know, we're spending so much energy to try to keep those 2 guys in front of us, and I think sometimes we were also standing and watching when they were isoing, and as they were moving in position to shoot the ball, they were moving in position to rebound too. And I don't think we did a great job of that. So 13's not good enough for us. We got to do better on the boards.
There's been a lot of games this season where come out afterwards and said threes are just not falling for us. Is there, you know, when that's happening, is there an alternative in approach, or is there something else that should be doing, or they just keep until it
we made 22. We made 22 last night. Saturday night we made 22. You know, tonight we made 9. So it'd be great if we could count on 14 or 15 made threes a game with the number we shoot, and we've been inconsistent that way. So. Detroit, I think we shot the ball pretty well from the 3. So we're 2-2 in our last 4 games, and we got to keep playing. And we got to come in tomorrow and go to work, and then we get on that bird and keep playing. That's what we got to do.
Did some of that have to do with the people that were taking the threes, like Dunn missing 5?
Yeah. I thought those were, you know, Chris works on that. Those were wide open threes. I thought we had a bunch of them. Somebody told me we had 18 threes in a row. Second half. Until Hutch made that one. We had 18 threes in a row, and then my staff told me 15 of them were open threes. I don't know. We'll have to look at the film, but yeah, we had 15 of 18 open threes in the second half. They make theirs, and we don't make ours. So. I like my group. They're disappointed that we didn't play better. Just going to come in and go to work tomorrow and grow.
Jim, you talked about Melo this morning, so obviously it's not a surprise that he did. You got a lot of respect for him, obviously. What do you see from him? Like?
Well, I think he made threes. He's shooting 30% from the three, and he made 4. He goes 4 for 7 today. So that happens sometimes. Obviously, he's a monster in the post, but when he makes threes, it's a whole other issue. So you got to give him credit for that. We paid him. I think he likes playing in his building, to be honest with you. He's had a lot of really good performances here since I've been here.
Speaking of this building, before the season, there's a lot of talk about we've got to establish our home court. We have to be. Teams come in here, they know. And there have been a number of relatively flat performances in this game. What do you see?
Yeah, I don't think we were flat tonight, Sam. I don't think we played well. I don't think we were flat. I didn't feel that tonight.
Well, during the game, we got flat.
Yeah, it did. It did. I think the inability to make shots. Like I said, we missed 5 dunks. We missed 2 double at the free throw line. And we missed open threes I think we can make. And I'd like our guys to take. So I thought it took our spirit. And we got to fight through those moments. I didn't think we weren't trying. I don't think, I know we care. And sometimes our disappointment I think hurts our ability to make a run. That's what we got to fix.
That's home floor.
I don't know. I love playing here. The fans have been great. I think it's a great place to play. We've got the best fans in the league. I get a lot of positives from people when it's built. So I don't feel like that.
Jim, I know.
Yeah, I mean, Zach got 3. We were struggling to shoot the ball, and put that zone. He came in and he made a 3. He made a 2. He's talking. He's communicating. I was happy with that. He came off against Miami and played well, and you look at those moments, and he's practiced well, and it was great. Zach getting 3 was part of that, and the fact we weren't making shots was part of that. And I think where we struggled a little bit too is we had an offensive lineup on the floor that didn't guard real well, and then we had a defensive lineup on the floor that didn't shoot real well. So we were stuck in the middle tonight a little bit, which happens. And I was glad Hutch got some minutes. We'll build off that too.
Actually, I know you say you don't focus on shot attempts, and I know we've been asking a lot about Lowry, but it looked like in that first half he was kind of finding a little bit of who he is, that he gets only 2 shots in the second half. Yeah.
Well, his minutes weren't the same in the second half. His minutes weren't the same. So, but yeah, I'd like him to play 32 to 34 minutes, and I'd like him to take more shots than he got tonight. So that's how I think he's.
You got to win a couple of road games coming right up, or else you'll get into December without having won consecutive games. Just hearing that, is that in itself disappointing?
I'm sorry.
If you don't win the next 2 games, you'll get into December without having had a winning streak of any size to date. Is that in itself disappointing?
Of course, we want to have a winning streak. I mean, I think that's. We'd love to have a winning streak. We don't. So all we can do is get tomorrow and go to work. I don't tell our guys, hey, we don't have a winning streak going right now. We need to get one. I talk to them about playing better basketball more of the time, and those things will come. That's a result of more consistency, better play. I think it will come.
So it's just one thing. Is part of marking the minutes and not getting more defense a component of that?
No, I think it was tonight was because we were down and I told my starters. I think that's what it was.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Coach.
I love the way we played the last two nights. Disappointed, like the team is, in the finish of the game. But I like the way we played. I like the way we battled. I love the 30 assists. I thought the difference in the game was the boards. I thought, we were down 3 at halftime on the defensive board, and then the second half, I thought that hurts us. It hurts us when we don't get rebounds, we don't get stops. Leads to free throws, leads to extra possessions. That being said, our defense was really solid again, and kept us in the game through some of the droughts we had. So we're going to keep pounding the rock and keep playing hard and working at it, and I'm confident we'll break through. This one stings. It stings, just like last night. So, any questions, I'll take them.
I know your main focus and concern is the team, getting the team better, but as coach of this team, how concerned do you start getting that this fan base is just going to start not believing in what this team was supposed to be and it is? I mean, when you look in the stands tonight, there are a lot of red seats, and it just seems like people are becoming numb to this product.
I don't know. I can't speak for everybody or the fans. I get a lot of positive feedback about our group. I think people understand what we're trying to build. It's disappointing when we don't win games. It's disappointing when we don't win home games. Nobody's running from that. This team is playing hard, and they're competing, and they're learning, and they're growing. So I think people can see that too. And I love the way our defense has grown since the opening 5 games. And I thought we had a lot of really good looks tonight that we can make. I felt that way. First half, I thought we had open looks that we can make. And the ball was popping, the ball was moving. Those are the things I look at. Are they good shots? Are they open shots? Is the ball moving? How many times this year have we had 30 assists? I'm not sure. Do you guys know? I'm not sure. So we talked about getting 35. That's kind of our goal, is to get 35. We got 30. So I'm not going to let those things deter me from understanding who we are and what we're trying to do and what we're building. I'm not. I can't control those things. I'm not doing it.
This time, Zach went to the hole as opposed to the other night where he hit the 3. What did you want to see from him on that?
Yeah, just be aggressive. Put the ball in his hands. We trust him with it.
Did you have any problem with him going through the double team? Or you
trying to get fouled, trying to get something good going to the rim. It's a shot he can make. We trust him with the ball in his hands. He's delivered before, and we'll trust him again. So these games, people focus on the last play. I don't think you can do that. I can't do that. I have to focus on the game and where maybe it could have played better and built a lead to 10 or 12 or 14, and now it's a different game at the end. So we learn in those last moments, but we got to learn throughout the game too.
Yeah, broadening it out, you went to the starters again. I feel like we asked you this a lot. The starters come out of an 8-point lead and they close the deal again. Yeah. How frustrating is it did that for you as a coach to go to the movement? Most coaches can make it that.
Yeah. Well, my subs were tired. We're on back-to-back. My subs were tired, and there's always a discussion on who we should leave in and who we should take out. When guys are fatigued, they made their run, and the starter's job is to come back in, get re-engaged in the game, and close it out. That's what they did. They brought their guys in, and they closed the game out. We have to learn to do that. That's the growth plate. That's what we're close. We're right there. That's the next step.
How do you know that you think that's it?
Joe, I coach by faith. I coach and teach every day on where I think we're going to be. When that's going to happen, when that's going to break through, I'm not sure. But I'm going to keep coaching that way. Teach, we'll watch this, we'll learn from it, and we'll grow. We are playing good, hard basketball. We got to win 2 or 3 more possessions. 2 or 3 more possessions. 1 more defensive rebound. 1 more loose ball. 1 more open 3. We got to make it. That's the difference in this.
And I'm not going to let any negativity deter us from that mission. That's what we're going to do.
Coach, it's not negative. It's not negative, Coach.
You know, I thought Zach's efficiency obviously is just unbelievable. Efficient game for him. I think KD takes the challenge and has great respect for Young. Tries to fight him all over the floor. So I thought those were two huge parts of the game. Zach playing the way he played, and KD trying to stay in front of Trae Young and just trying to make it difficult for him. As good as he is, we've talked about our goal of a 35 assist game. We had 30 the other night and 32 tonight, so we're growing towards that. I like the turnovers forced, and I like winning the boards. So I still think we need to improve on defending without fouling and our close contest. So, any questions?
Joe must out 2 straight games back and then you guys off to a good start with the score. You guys have a conversation with him, see how they think.
Yeah, we talk every day. I mean, we talk every day. We met this morning before practice. We spent 10 or 15 minutes together before practice and talk about situations. And yeah, it's all good. He wants to be great, and he's working. His habits are good. So I'm happy for him.
What do you see from Marver this month? Is that more 2020 games?
Yeah, I think he's been aggressive. I think he's more confident. And, you know, I want him to be a complete player. I think he's trying his defensive end of the floor. And, you know, the more two-way players we have, the better we're going to be. And I think both him and Zach are trying to be two-way players. And it's good for us.
Atlanta wanted to counter the strategy with Trae by having him use his quick to spacing them out, pick and roll and all that. How come it didn't work?
You know, I'd have to look at the film exactly why it didn't work. I thought we tried to make it difficult on him. They put shooting around him, and he had 7 assists in the first half, so I didn't feel like, although maybe he didn't score as much in the first half, I didn't feel like he did a very good job on it, because I thought he was spraying it. I thought he had windows to see, and I was concerned about it. So the second half, I thought we did a better job of closing down those windows and making him go to his second, third, and fourth option. I thought in the first half, he kind of had that first option out of our black defense. So he's a good player, man. You know, but KD's a good player too. KD's a top level defender in this league.
Did you feel like this is the first game this year where you guys took care of business on a night that you were supposed to take care of business?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I do. I just told John that in my office. I just said, you know, we didn't let them get back in the game. We took care of business. And I'm happy for our guys. Proud of them. Now we got a big weekend coming up. So
the bench gave you another boost tonight. What kind of confidence boost is that for you?
Yeah,
especially
I thought Thad, Thad was talking on the bench. Hey, we got to bring some energy. And when he checked in, I thought that the separation happened in the game. I think we went up to 37, 31, and then ended up making a bucket at the end of the quarter. But I thought that moment when he subbed in, Arch came in, Coley came in, Gaff, I thought the game changed with their energy and their togetherness. Yeah, he pulled it together, and hey, we got to bring the energy, we got to bring the juice, we got to turn this thing. I love that answer. I like that leadership.
Yeah, that's the second straight game you mentioned 35 assists. I'm just curious where that number come up. That's pretty high. So how'd you come up with that?
Yeah, I think we can do it. I think I watch the films. I see the open shots we miss. I see the assists we have. I didn't pull this number out of the air. This is something I think we can do. I think it's attainable. And I think it's a statement to how we want to play. So, if we don't get 35 and we get 30, that's still pretty good. If we don't get 35 and we get 28, that's still pretty good. So, we have a lot of
game type goals. We want to win every 50-50 ball. We want to lead the, win the game, win the charge game. We want to win the boards. We want to, those are the games inside the game that I think are really important for your team.
How nice was it not to have to bring Zach back in the fourth quarter?
It was great. We played a lot of games in a short amount of time, and I was happy to get Kobe out, to be honest with you, because this is new for him. He's played 26 games. He's played 26 games already, and it's December 12th. So I was happy to get him out. I was happy to have him out. So we'll practice tomorrow, and we'll get ready for this back-to-back, and then we got to take a trip. Is that pretty cool?
They got off to a 13-0 start, and they made shots we didn't. They got off to a good start.
You were obviously pulled pretty early there. Did Jim tell you why?
I don't know. It's just I guess I was the blame for it, So I got pulled early before by him. I guess that's just his thing to do. I got to take it with stride. I'm not the coach. What did he say I get pulled for?
He said you made 3 egregious defensive mistakes.
Zach LaVine's, got 13 points scored on him, I guess, or, it was a starting 5, I don't remember. So I thought I did, I thought I was trying to do my job out there. So, I got to take it with stride, and like I said, I can't do anything about that. I just got to control what I can control. I can't control my minutes.
Right. Do you feel in a situation like that, though, that you may be getting singled out?
If you don't just pull me, yeah, for sure. But, that's not my decision.
Right.
Zach, do you know what the 3 egregious, as he called them, mistakes were?
I remember looking at them. I don't remember seeing 3 egregious mistakes. I think I was supposed to show on one, and I didn't. I told him to, because Jimmy usually doesn't set screens. He slips out of them. So I didn't want to show and have him, cut right to the basket. But they told me to show, so I didn't show. The other 2, I don't know.
Did you communicate that?
Yeah, but
to the coach?
Yeah, that's you have conversation with him, but he thinks that I had 3 egregious defensive mistakes. That's on him. He can make his own opinion on that.
Were you, now that you've been told that, and he probably would communicate that to you on the flight or what have you, do you feel like it's something you guys will talk out? How does that usually happen when Jim does something like that? Because it's happened other times this season.
I tell him how I feel. He tells me how he feels. And I can't really let that try to affect my game because I still got the rest of the game to play. So I'll have to talk to him after the game about it. See what we have to talk about.
Zach, there looked like 2 closeouts that I saw. One, Jimmy in the corner with a shot. Maybe had a miscommunication, and then one where Kendrick Nunn had the corner or the wing 3-pointer.
Yeah.
Where it looked like you had Jimmy coming down the lane, and maybe you and Laurie had a miscommunication.
Yeah.
What happened on those 2
Like you said, miscommunications. I try to talk early. The one, especially the one with Kendrick Nunn. I had to protect the paint. So you ain't just trying to give up a transition layup. Once you call that man. It's going to be hard to play, 2 people. I'll have to look at the second one, the one with Jimmy in the corner. I think we got messed up on a switch. He called switch, I didn't respond to it, or he called switch and he didn't respond to it, one of the 2. And he got an open 3, but I think he airballed that one, right? So.
Zach, you're a team player, obviously, and you care about winning, but just getting off that for a second, individually, how frustrating has this season been for you so far?
It's been tough. We all out of rhythm, and we're trying to find it. I think that's the main thing, and then we're obviously trying to win. I think we're a really good team, and we have some things we got to make up and continue to get better at, but we're just not there yet.
How do you find a rhythm if your minutes are getting jacked around a little bit?
It's tough. I had to like I said, get back locked in. And go from there. So, you can control what you can control. I think I did a good job for the rest of the game. Try to move the ball a little bit. I had a bad turnover in the second quarter where I spun into a double team. But besides that, I feel like whenever I drove the nail and people helped, I pitched the ball and got people open shots. So, I'm trying to do what I can do to help.
Zach, you obviously made some strong statements about defense and how people talk shit about it
Mm-hmm.
In the preseason. But how would you evaluate where you are defensively now? Where you feel like you need to do better on that end?
I feel like I'm still taking strides. It's once you make a comment like that, you don't want to get singled out, and you don't show all the mistakes that you're showing or that you've done. I'm not gonna be perfect out there. I'm not gonna say I'm a defensive player of the year candidate, but I'm gonna go out there and definitely try to compete. I feel like I've done a really good job on my man. Done a lot better job of rotations and things like that. But I'm still working out just like everybody else on this team is.
What do you think is the main issue with the inconsistent play these last couple games?
We just gotta find a rhythm. I think everybody's still trying to find that rhythm, and once everybody understands that, when they go out there and they know what they have to do, I think then we'll take off from there.
We just gotta come in and pick it up. We just gotta come in and just try to change the game around. Like I said, we've been having some good first quarter starts, and tonight we didn't have a good first quarter start, but it happened. It's basketball. We just gotta do our best and try to come in and change whatever needs to be changed.
What could you tell us about Thomas Satoransky?
He's a great guy.
Yeah, right.
He's a great guy, great teammate. He's helped me a lot since I've been here.
So he's been a great contribution to the team?
Yeah. I think he's the second oldest on the team, so he's definitely a guy you can go to whenever things aren't going your way. And on the court, he kind of holds everybody together, and he also holds everybody accountable. So that's the things you want in the point guard.
You might have already answered this, but what was your impression of just how you guys were able to battle back, especially in that fourth quarter, and make it a game again?
It was good, man. It was good. We never quit. Coming out in the second half, we could have laid down and folded, but we didn't. We fought back. We just never quit, and that's just how our team is.
Coaches talked about the second unit moving the ball well, sometimes better than the first unit. What's the mentality on the second unit of just trying to make things happen when you've got that opportunity?
Ours is just to come in and we just want to go out there and just contribute. So with us, it's just like we just want to go out there and no matter how the game's going, just if it's not going the way that we want it, try to change that, and if it's going the way we want it, just maintain that. That's all we really care about, is just coming in and contributing and not just playing the right way. Yeah.
Relax. Reset. Rejuvenate. Go to our link right now to restart your life. TheRewindSport60.com. What are you waiting for? Hope to see you soon. The Rewind Sport 60. TheRewindSport60.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of the Sports Medicine Update, a weekly podcast number 6 with yours truly, Jerry Riles, and of course, Dr. Chad Padroman. Doc, how are you?
Jerry, I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic. Chad Padroman is the president of Illinois Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Center. Does fantastic work talking about sports medicine and sports injuries. And if you have not had a chance to check out our podcast, our weekly podcast, you can definitely Google it and check us out on YouTube, Facebook, even on Twitch. Sometimes we're on there, but we're slowly but surely gaining ground and building up momentum and building up our base, and we want you to be a part of it. So, Doc, there's been so much going on in the world of sports. COVID-19, the coronavirus is all over the news, but in certain areas around the country, the numbers are continuing to spike and peak. Here in Illinois, where we're doing the podcast, we got to say kudos to Mayor Lori Lightfoot and the Governor Pritzker regarding maintaining the numbers and trying to keep them as steady and as low as they possibly can. Overall, the country has been on a roller coaster regarding the coronavirus and COVID-19, and it definitely has affected the sports world. We know that the NBA are down in Orlando at Disney World getting ready to resume their season that was abruptly ended back in March. We know that Major League Baseball have invited teams back to their respective cities and facilities to begin working out in anticipation of starting their regular season, albeit 60 games on July 23rd and 24th. National Hockey League is still trying to figure things out as far as moving forward. We know what happened with the WNBA, the National Football League, college football. The Ivy League said we're not going to play. So there's so much going on regarding COVID-19 and coronavirus. What's your speculation? My theory is I don't know if we're going to get past this, but I want to be positive and I want to be optimistic. Your thoughts on, let's take a look, first of all, at the National Basketball Association down in the bubble, trying to move forward and get the rest of the season and the playoffs underway.
Yeah, I think I see the glass is half full. I think we're going to get past it. I think we're going to do better than people think. I think the tenor of the conversation of COVID-19 in general had an erroneously negative color, nothing to do with us, but from the original modeling that took place, I think it was Imperial College in England, where unfortunately it was found that the models that were used were the wrong models, were horribly flawed. So we had these, crazy apocalyptic discussions of, huge numbers of deaths that never materialized. So I think from that, the whole conversation started on, a more negative tone than it deserved. Clearly, it's a major problem, but interestingly, and sports is and as a physician, sports is a microcosm for society. Well, sports medicine is a microcosm for medicine, and I do sports medicine, but I obviously take care of people who aren't athletes, and so. Just in the last 2 weeks, the landscape has actually changed dramatically because there's two ways that the virus goes away. The one way is you get a vaccine, and a good vaccine, and it goes away. The other way is through what's called herd immunity. And so herd immunity is a process by which when a large enough percentage of the population gets infected and gets immunity, the virus doesn't have enough hosts and it kind of dies and goes away. And initially, so everybody has hoped for a vaccine and they still do. But, I think even Dr. Fauci was saying, who's, very circumspect, that he doesn't know that we're going to get a really good vaccine for this. I mean, the history of vaccines for RNA viruses is not good. And if we do get one, it's not going to be soon. So then you're left with locking down. But, locking down doesn't get rid of the virus, right? It's just you run away from it, but it's still there. And if you don't get immunity from a vaccine or having it, when you go out, it just comes back. And herd immunity early on, the Swedish were the one country that openly embraced it. And early on, there were reports that it was going well, but then their death count spiked. And then everybody said, oh my God, they've done terrible things. But, it's really interesting. And I don't want to get too wonky on this, but just 2 weeks ago, there were 3 studies, actually a 4th, that all came out, were all kind of reported all around the same time, which dramatically changed the landscape toward herd immunity being what the answer is going to be. And I am pretty firmly convinced, that it is. So, I mean, just briefly, I can kind of run through these. Here's what the study showed.
Okay.
So originally the thought was, well, you need 60% herd immunity, and our immunity is way, way low. Well, number one, the University of Nottingham in England found that the models that they were using to come at like 60% were probably not right, that there was a vaccine model, but when it's spreading organically, the number's probably closer to 43%. So the bar's lower. Number two, so a study from the Karolinska Institute in Sweden, famous place. And this is really amazing. We have been measuring immunity by antibodies. Well, they measured something called T-cell immunity, which is a lot of the viewers have probably heard about this, but that you can get immunity from cells, T cells making you immune without having antibodies. And in fact, they found a lot of people who don't get really sick don't make antibodies. So they had a population that had 15% immunity, they thought, based on antibodies, but it was really 30% based on T cells. And they found that in general, the real immunity level is twice what the antibodies were. So then all of a sudden, instead of Sweden being 15% and needing 60, we find that Sweden, and it varies in parts of Sweden, is 30%, and they only need 43, so they're much closer. Another study from Germany found that 80% of the people that they tested their blood that had not had COVID-19, had some immunogenicity, cross-immunogenicity from antibodies from cold viruses and other things, so had some immunity from that. And then there were studies looking at Italy. So, Italy got killed horribly early on, but now they're doing much better. And the Italians are saying the virus is going away and whatnot. So Bergamo, Italy was hit very hard, high death count. But even 6 weeks ago, they found the antibody rate of immunity was 57%, which means the overall immunity rate is probably over 90%. So the point I'm getting at is, it turns out that we are probably much closer to herd immunity than we thought all over the world, that the bar to get there is much less than we thought, that the virus doesn't seem as bad as it did. And then the final piece of the puzzle is when looking at death rates. So in Sweden, they had high death rate, right? But 88% of their deaths were in people over 70. Mm-hmm. And that's, they did not protect their nursing homes, which is key. Same thing happened in New York, where actually people, unfortunately they made a miscalculation, and nursing homes were forced to take people with COVID-19 from hospitals. I mean, the people there meant well, but it turned out to be a horrible mistake. Mm-hmm. So that, if you look at this, New York and Florida have about the same number of people. Florida has 3,700 deaths. New York has 36,000 deaths, 10 times as many because of that. So the point I'm getting at is, if you look at the death rate in young, healthy people, it's a little, nobody's completely sure, but it looks like it's about the same as the flu. So you've got this combination of, we're more immune than we thought, you don't need it as much as you needed to get it, and young, healthy people stay very healthy. So I'm very encouraged by all of this.
Well, it's good to hear you say that. I know the experts out there who would differ and argue against your points there. And in a layman's perspective, one death is too many deaths, regardless of the numbers. And when you make the comparison, when you talk about the flu, we do go through that, and we can talk about that, but we do go through the flu season. This is not the flu season, because we know we can expect, deaths that occur during that time. I heard numbers from as low as, 30 to 35,000, upwards to 200,000, during the flu season. Definitely the numbers can vary, but with this coronavirus and this COVID, it doesn't take any time off. And now we're seeing it's affecting the young folks, because initially we heard that statistically that it was those 60 plus that were more, vulnerable to this. And of course, if you're obese, heart conditions, high blood pressure, those type of ailments, you are at a higher risk. But now it is affecting, that we've seen statistically, the younger generation between the demographics of 25 to 34, to be fair about it. And you talk about herd immunity. I don't know if you heard about this. It happened last week. Boomer Esiason, who's on WFAN out of New York, said on a show that he got it from a few sources, the national, the collegiate ranks as far as football is concerned, that sources out of LSU, Clemson, and Alabama alluded to the fact that they wanted their players to get coronavirus now during the summertime, so that they can get past it and be ready for football in the fall. Had you heard of that? And does that sound a little bit outlandish in saying something like that?
Well, here's the thing. Had I heard about it? No. The thing I, don't like about it, depending on how it was done. So, I'm old enough to remember when I was a kid, a lot of these vaccinations were just getting developed. There were chickenpox parties, and people got chickenpox, mumps, measles, whatever. And you're encouraged to get it and get it over with, and you get good immunity from that. Better, more sure than with a vaccine. So I think that we don't, for young healthy people, the death rate from COVID-19 seems to be about the same as the flu, maybe a little higher. Some people have said it's lower for that age population. But I think it can be a like myself. I work every day. I wear a mask. But if I get it, I get it, I think a young athlete wants to take the point of view that he's not going to shut down his life, I think that's perfectly rational. I don't think that an athletic program ought to be telling them what to do, though. That's, if that's happening, that's not good. But I do think that it's rational. Same with schools. We don't lock ourselves down because of the flu. There's a very occasional death in the flu in young people. Same for COVID, I think. We don't all stay home because of the flu. We don't all stop driving our car. So I think for that population, going about your business. And so actually, to be clear, by the way, so why do I wear a mask? Actually, we do book in one of my one of the people who read it said, well, you're recommending wearing a mask. Why, if you believe in herd immunity? And the reason is this. Mm-hmm. The one place where you could get hurt is that if you have young, healthy people that get sick, the overwhelming majority don't get very sick or don't get sick at all. A small percentage will get hospitalized, and a very small percentage, approaching zero, will die. But so from my perspective, if the cases are increasing and the death rate is going down, which is what's happening in the U.S., mm-hmm. I think that's the answer. And I understand that in many quarters, there are people that are saying there's new cases. This is terrible. We have to squelch the cases. But like I said, you shut down society and squelch the cases. They're coming back unless you get a virus. And if people get it and they don't die, I think it's okay. So I think that, but if you get too many cases all at once and people get sick and overwhelm the hospitals, that's not. Now that didn't come close to happening. Even in New York, there was that boat that was bought there, that hospital. They had lots of excess beds. So I think that having more cases to get herd immunity should happen, but I think it should be controlled herd immunity, and you keep an eye on it. And then you adjust accordingly. Governor DeSantis in Florida, who kind of opened up and got criticized, well, then he's closing down bars. I think it's the right thing to do. Keep an eye on the cases, take measures where you need to take them so it isn't everybody all at once, but let herd immunity develop.
Okay, so let me ask you, you talked about controlling it. The NBA, they're talking about controlling it, and so they're taking all these players down to Orlando and putting them in the bubble to play, at Disney World. and they're in their isolation and everything. We've seen clips on ESPN where the players are on their balconies at their respective hotel down at Disney World, and they're on their decks and they're jamming to the music. But for many of us who follow sports and cover the National Basketball Association, one thing I certainly understand, it applies to all of us as human beings, but in particular to professional athletes. They're all creatures of habit. All creatures of habit. You're used to doing certain things at certain times all the time, and that culture. You gotta have to talk me off the ledge, because even though Adam Silver, the commissioner of the National Basketball Association, and all those in part are saying on paper, this is the structure that we have for these players to get through the next 2.5, 3 months of the NBA season. In the reality of it, Doctor, I can't see that these players are going to remain isolated, 6 feet apart, social distancing, interacting with each other on the court, and staying away from their families for 2-3 months. With these players being creatures of habit, it kind of scares me, because I cannot believe that they're going to stick to the protocol of being safe and careful, being in an isolated environment for 2 to 3 months. It appears to me that you might get a couple players that may try to leave the facility and or sneak some people in off the streets into the facility just because they're creatures of habit. And to me, that may be a case where you get one person exposed and that can shut things down again. What are your thoughts regarding this bubble thing in the National Basketball Association?
Yeah, great points. One major thought, and I want to make the point pursuant to what I just said a few minutes ago. The one thing you've got to do with talking about controlled herd immunity, though, you've got to stay away from old sick people. So let young people get it, but you can't be visiting your grandparents. You just can't until herd immunity is here. So I think with these players, you got to keep the high-risk people away. Having said that, first of all, I think you're totally right. Like Stephen A. Smith had a kind of a humorous post, a little graphic maybe, actually was talking about female companions of these guys, whatnot. But anyway, no, I think you're right. I think it's going to happen. But see, I don't think, and if somebody gets it, they get it, and you quarantine them and then you bring them back. I not only don't think that's a bad thing, I think you're right. It's human nature. I think it's inevitable. And I think what's going to happen is, because they have restrictions in place, I think they'll be obeyed to some degree. So I think we'll get to be herd immunity. I think that's a good thing. These guys, the NBA guys in particular, are just the lowest risk people on the planet, pretty much. So I think it's very likely they'll be healthy. Maybe they'll get a little sick. They'll come back. And I think it'll be a controlled herd immunity there. If somebody gets sick and then they say, forget about it, well, if they shut it down, they shut it down. But I don't think they should. I think they should do what they're doing, let it spread a little, and I think it'll work out.
Well, I hope you're right. I hope it certainly work out. But again, you certainly don't want anyone to die from this, because just one person succumbing to this and losing their life, who knows the ramifications?
Yeah, it's true. But bear in mind, there are plenty of studies out there that indicate that the consequences of – so the only way you can do better than that bubble is a complete lockdown. So first of all, people aren't going to do it. And secondly, the consequences of lockdowns from suicide, drug overdoses, that kind of stuff. I think if you make it any worse than that, you're going to get frustrated people. A lot of these guys have fast cars, right? A lot of them have sort of a high-risk lifestyle because they can, So I think if you make draconian lockdown things worse than that until we get a good vaccine, number one, I think it'll never happen. And number two, I think you will get deaths from that. And the chances of getting a death from COVID-19 in those guys is pretty close to zero. And if there happens to be one, any death is a tragedy. But it's not like, you get a death from the flu. It's not like you can prevent all of them. And in that population, I think the risk of a lockdown, if you could do it, which you can't, is higher.
Well, here's the other perspective on it, Doc. And I agree with you because these are some of the most skilled and physically fit individuals on the planet. But Rudy Gobert, who plays with the Utah Jazz, back in March 10th or whatever, was the first player to be diagnosed with coronavirus, COVID-19. And he was joking about it at a press conference regarding the virus. 3 months later, Doc, he said, hey, I still can't smell. And that's the question that, okay, you may not die from it, and God forbid, but we don't know the long-term effects of what this virus can do to you, whether it's your organs or whether it's your mental state or what have you. How do you address that?
I don't think it's going to be a long-term problem. I think that if you get deathly ill and you're on a respirator for a couple of months and you get other organ damage, I think that's a significant problem. But, I'm not him, but there's really no evidence that for people who don't get very sick, and he didn't, that they're going to have long-standing significant health problems.
Well, I hope you're right. And, it's right now it appears there's no right or wrong answer because we've never experienced this type of a pandemic in our lifetime. We've read about it and we've heard in the past, but we've never lived through it and experienced it. And we thought at one particular time when it first hit the United States that, of course, like we been discussing, that it's affecting the elderly people. And now we're seeing that it's the young folks that are being affected by it as well. And let's just hope. I think it's better to be safe than sorry. And I think we're going to learn a lot in the next couple of weeks as far as the National Basketball Association is concerned regarding having one in this bubble. I do know that I think it was the Toronto Blue Jays up in Canada. This is how serious they're taking it, Doc. They're saying that if they find any of their players out on the street outside of the confined areas to try to get back, that the player is going to be fined $750,000 if they're fined out of the restricted area and not practicing, social distancing. $750,000. That's a lot of cabbage.
Yeah, and the nice thing about this, in a way, you mentioned a lot of disagreement, and there is. And one of the great things about America is that it's a pluralistic society. You've got the NBA doing one thing, NFL doing something else, NHL doing something else, baseball. And, how much better, I think, to be in the U.S., and our healthcare system is like this too, where you could try different things and see what works, than to be in, communist China or someplace else where one guy says we're going to do it this way and, he's not right. So I think you're right. I think everything you said is interesting. The Blue Jays, yeah. I mean, if you want to get their attention with these guys, you got to toss around numbers like that. But as you said, we will all learn from what transpires.
Yeah, we certainly will. And real quick, I got, maybe you have the answer for me on this one, because I can't understand this one. Before we go, the National Football League, we talked about it. Hopefully, and I know people are praying that we have a season come this fall. I know people are praying for the National Football League to suit up every Sunday, Thursday, Monday night. But what I don't understand, Dr. Chad Padromas, is that Roger Goodell, the commissioner, and the owners said, you know what? The tradition that has started over the past year or two with players after the game exchanging jerseys, that's not going to be tolerated. It's not going to happen anymore. And the confusing message, Doc, is that, wait a minute, you're letting these players get together. They're lining up against each other for 3.5 hours, sweating, spitting, sneezing, physical contact. So social distancing is out. Yet at the end of the game, they can't exchange. Russell Wilson can't exchange his jersey with Patrick Mahomes because they appreciate each other, because it's a higher risk of spreading the COVID-19. Doctor, that makes no sense to me. Help me out here.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. And I mean, I guess they're trying to do the right thing, and maybe they think it's optics. And you've probably read a lot of players. Richard Sherman, the defensive back, wrote, and they're just saying just what you said. So, yeah, I think you just got to be careful to be consistent. And it's just, it's the thing. You just don't want to be making arbitrary restrictions without thinking them through. So I kind of have a feeling they're going to walk that one back. I don't know.
Yeah, I hope they do, because it just simply doesn't make any sense. Because if they're going to get it, it will be within that 3-hour window of exchanging body fluids and physical contact. It's not going to come from the exchange of jerseys from one player to another.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. Hey, Doc, it's always a pleasure. If anyone wants to get in contact with you, how do they find you? Phone number.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
So our phone number is 847-699-6810. Got a great staff. Email ortho@ISMOC, Illinois Sports Medicine Orthopedic Center .net. We're very attentive to everybody who contacts us.
Sounds good, Doctor. It's always a pleasure. Looking forward to talking with you next week. Stay safe this weekend, and we'll talk to you again on the Sports Medicine Update.
Thanks a lot, Jerry.
Take care.
Larry Merchant, the longtime boxing commentator at HBO, and the reason we were inviting him on and we invited him on and wanted to talk with him was the fact that Iron Mike Tyson is talking about a comeback.
Really?
Lauren, why do you laugh?
Bored.
Why do you laugh?
People getting bored and losing their mind.
What is this, like Rocky 10? I mean,
he's 53 years old.
Have you seen his video?
I've seen the
video. Dude, let me tell you something. I wouldn't want to get in the ring with him.
I don't care what the video says. I know he doesn't look 24.
That boy look 24 on them
No,
hands,
he don't look 24.
I wish you could play the video for the
I'm
viewers.
looking at it right now.
Yeah, see that video.
Iron Mike Tyson.
I don't care.
Yeah, he said he wants to come back, and
his body look good.
He got me feeling young though. Just the way he was moving and stuff, like, dang, 53.
You know what? This man
his
is.
body look better now than it did then.
He's on our TR60 hotline. I just talked him up. He is the legendary. He's phenomenal. He is outstanding. He is the HBO boxing commentator. He's joining us on the Rewind Sports 60. He's Larry Merchant. Larry, how are you, man? Welcome to the program.
Well, thank you. What's on your mind?
Well, what's on our mind, Larry, is the fact that this guy named Mike Tyson, who's been out of the ring for quite some time, but when he was in the ring and he made his presence to the world, he was just destroying opponents left and right. So let me tell you something, Larry, and you remember this. This guy, you would get, and you can get it on free television, that was the beauty of it, but you would be able to watch this guy. You go, okay, Mike Tyson is fighting, right? You go, okay, let me go get my Coca-Cola or my Sprite, and let me go get my popcorn, and I'll sit down and I'll get ready to watch a prize fight. By the time you did all of that and you got in your seat, the fight was over. This guy Mike Tyson was just crushing people. We know his story as far as what happened to him in the latter part of his career, and the one man show, afterlife of boxing. Now he said he wants to come back, and there are people going, really? So we said, let's reach out to the great Larry Merchant, who knows any and everything about boxing, and pick his brain and ask him the question, do you think that this is real, and do you think Mike Tyson can make a comeback?
Well, first, thank you for that lengthy and sweet introduction. And second, I would just remind everyone that Mike Tyson's career essentially was over before his 23rd birthday, when he got beaten by Buster Douglas. He did fight after that and win titles, but he also got beaten twice by Evander Holyfield and got stopped by Lennox Lewis. I'm just trying to put that into some kind of perspective, including the fact that his exciting, explosive style captured the imagination of a lot of people at that time. There hadn't been a heavyweight like that for some time. So it's all understood. And as far as Mike Tyson coming back, it would be classified by anyone who is in any reality about boxing and boxing history as an exhibition. Ali fought a Japanese wrestler once. There are other occasions when fighters whose time passed as fighters, but still had marquee names, were able to make some serious money to doing it what in effect was an exhibition, including Floyd Mayweather's last outing against McGregor. So if Mike Tyson is being offered enough money to put himself out there in some kind of a sparring session or against some mismatched opponent, some other 53-year-old or 10-year-old fighter, and he can make a quick buck, okay, I got no problem with that.
Hey, this is Dan in the studio. It does sound like the final Rocky movie, maybe, where he fought an exhibition match.
Yeah, well, it's not uncommon throughout boxing history.
Yeah, well, he had that famous ear biting episode with Holyfield too. Remember?
Yes. Another marker in his career when he was so frustrated at finding out that Holyfield was going to do to him in the rematch what he did to him in the original one. He decided that to use some street justice and bit a piece of his ear off.
You know, it's interesting. We're on with the great Larry Merchant, HBO boxing commentator on the Rewind Sports 60 WCPT 820 AM, talking about the possible return of Mike Tyson to the ring. And I gotta pat myself on the back a little bit, Larry. I'm going to share a little bit of history with you. You don't know this, but I was one of the first individuals to realize and know and was informed that Mike Tyson was going to lose to Buster Douglas way back when. And you asked the question, Jerry, how did you know that? Well, I had a sports show called JR Sports Review back in Columbus, Ohio. And I was fortunate to have Buster Douglas on my show. And Buster Douglas, before, and unfortunately I don't have the tape of it, but before Buster, the show ended and we let him go, he predicted that he was going to knock out Mike Tyson. And I gave him a stare, a double look, because after I picked my mouth up off the floor, I go, do you know who the heavyweight champion of the world, do you know who the best boxer? He goes, yeah, it's Mike Tyson. And I said, and what did you just say? He goes, I'm going to knock him out, become the next heavyweight champion. And of course, we know the rest is history, but I was really, really surprised by that statement and the fact that this man backed it up and went out and made it happen. When it happened, were you as surprised as everyone else, not only in the boxing world, but in the world around, when Buster Douglas knocked out Mike Tyson? What was your real personal thoughts about that?
Well, first of all, Buster Douglas, whose father was a tough kind of club fighting middleweight, had more skill at boxing and was a big guy because he was raised in gyms, but he had never shown a serious interest in boxing. And somehow he galvanized all of his forces before the fight. His mother died, which was another inspiration for him. He had something to prove to his father as well as the world, and he seized the opportunity. Most guys didn't trot into the ring on that walk-in when they were fighting Mike Tyson, and he did. And he showed early in the fight that he was willing to take the fight to Tyson, and in the first 2 rounds, it was clear that something was going on. Of course, I was surprised, maybe even shocked, but it made a certain kind of sense, because a fighter like Tyson is either going to fight someone who takes advantage of his aggression to hit him back, which was Holyfield, or a boxer who is going to be able to outbox the Tyson of that time. So here came Douglas. He showed serious intent from the first round on. He didn't just back away. He pummeled Tyson with jabs, and I can recall remarking at that time after the second round that Tyson had probably been hit by more punches in those 2 rounds than we'd seen him get punched in all of his career. An overstatement perhaps, but it reflected what was going on in the ring.
Larry, it's the fastest hour in sports conversation. We appreciate you taking some time. We can continue to talk shop with you all night long, and we hope that we'll get an opportunity to catch up with you down the road. And you being safe and everything regarding this pandemic?
Yeah, I'm sitting out at a park here in Santa Monica, overlooking the beach and the ocean. Everybody is 6 to 10 feet apart at least. And I'm sitting here presently reading, and then I will complete my walk in the next half hour or so.
Well, Larry, thank you. Thank you, brother. Stay safe. We love you, and we'll be talking with you down the road, okay?
Thanks, Larry. Okay, Larry.
Thank you.
You got it.
He's the best.
Thank you.
Larry Merchant joining us on our TR60 hotline. It's the fastest hour in sports conversation.
The one that back in the field doesn't have the good balance. His legs together is busted. Landing these. Oh, nice uppercut. Mike Tyson does it. Look at that. He's knocked Mike Tyson down for the first time in his career. Mike Tyson hits the canvas. He's in big trouble. He may not be able to recover. It's up to 7 and 8. He's not going to make it.
TheRewindSports60.com. Relax, reset, rejuvenate. Go to our link right now to restart your life. TheRewindSports60.com. What are you waiting for? Hope to see you soon. The Rewind Sports 60.
Take me
me out to the ball game, Hall of Famer Andre Dawson.
All right. Let's hear it from the greatest fans ever. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back Forest Root. Root for the Cubbies. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Hey! Get some runs! Thank you.
The Rewind Sports 60.
He is my man. He's Craig Hodges on our hotline. Craig, how are you? Welcome to the Rewind Sports 60, my man.
I appreciate you, brother. Peace and blessings to you and your listening audience during this crazy time, man. Hope all is well.
Thank you so very much. And I think everybody is trying to stay as safe and well as they possibly can. This is the fastest hour in sports conversation, Craig. You and I have talked many times in the past few years. We don't have much time to talk about so much that's going on, but we appreciate you taking your time on the Mother's Day to join us on our show to talk Last Dance, man. And I mean, I believe you've been making your media rounds the past couple of days or whatever regarding your comment that you made. And I got to tell you this. I actually agree with what you said regarding Michael Jordan's comment, I think in episode 3, about the cocaine circus. Because when I heard Michael Jordan, he came into the league and he said he went to the hotel, he was in a hotel when he went to knock on one of the players' door and he heard all this commotion going on and half the team was in there partying. I looked over to my wife and I said, Lise, why is he throwing all these guys under the bus? I swear to you, I said, why is he throwing them under the bus? I go, I mean, this is how many years ago, but you ain't got to call these cats out and tell everybody what they're doing. I gotta agree with you on that, man.
Yeah, and for me, it's one of those things where you have young people excited about the game, and family members of people probably looking forward to watching their loved one who played with Michael, watching this, looking forward to watching his documentary, and then it winds up being, as opposed to it being an entertainment, it turns out to be something that's an inquisition of the uncle or dad who played on the team with MJ. So, it was kind of, I thought he could have did something a little more diplomatic. I thought he could have said players that they during that period of time had a lot of fun and, but they came and played hard. It was a way of doing it that he didn't have to throw people under the bus, man.
Yeah, well, they left a lot of tape on the floor. I mean, this is what are we saying? There's a lot of stuff that didn't make it to this docuseries, but I was just surprised. But what I do like the fact that Mike is doing in this docuseries, in my opinion, from a spectator's perspective, I think that he's being real. I think that he's, opening up himself to something that he normally hadn't done over the years. So I like that side of Michael to show people, hey, I'm just as real as, any of you guys. I just happen to be this guy that's very talented and had the success. So I do like that aspect of what he's presenting and unveiling in this docuseries.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, and like you say, to a degree, it's cool that you get some eye-opening facts and that kind of thing. But at the same time, I feel like at this point in his life and career, I don't, money isn't the issue. I just wonder what is the motivation behind the, how you throwing people under the bus, man, and just how, like you said, you knew some people weren't going to like you after it's over. I don't know if it's so much from your openness or if it's from you throwing people under the bus from your openness. So to me, it's just a matter of saying, at this point in time, it's a lot of other things that need to be taken care of. And I remind people that this is entertainment, and that we have a lot of things going on within the world and within our communities that we have to, get solutions to. And that's where my mind is. So I'm watching it in somewhat a critique mode, but always with the eye of it being entertainment and commerce involved.
Hey, Craig, this is Dan Marver. I'm in the studio with Jerry. How you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Yeah, I loved your book, Long Shot, The Triumph and Struggles of an NBA Freedom Fighter. A lot of good stuff in there. Yeah. Including, of course, the famous White House visit and a number of other things. But I wanted to ask you, being a player and then looking at it, I ask everybody this, and 22 years later, I tell everybody, I just can't believe that it really happened, that they broke the team up. And the last dance you're going to see, it didn't matter if Jackson went 82-0, Krause said. How can that be? That doesn't make any sense to me.
And then for me, the way I'm looking at this thing is, it's dead man tells no tale, man. So when we look at how much he's been put on Jerry Krause as him being, being the person that did or whatever, and some of that I'm like, how can the general manager outweigh owner? So if the Bulls go 82-0, how could Jerry Riles break it up? That's what I'm looking at more than Jerry Krause.
Well, it's interesting because allegedly, Jerry said, Jerry Reinsdorf supported Jerry Krause, obviously, and said, most of these players, after winning the title, the second three-peat, were on their last leg. And he felt, that was probably the best time to dismantle and break things up because of the grind over, just winning one championship is a grind in its right. And to come back and win a second three-peat, he felt that most of the players on the team that, they didn't have enough left in the tank. So it wasn't a bad business move to make and breaking up the team.
Yeah, and I look at it, I understand where he's coming from, try to get the best bang for your buck, let's have a firehouse sale or whatever you want to call it. But for me, in looking at it, when you understand how to win, you understand how to win, and that you have enough veteran players who have enough left in the tank that you can start to shovel in guys to be able to maintain, the solidarity of a unit that can go out and win. And once again, he rolled the dice, he broke the team up, and haven't won anything since. So there's kudos to breaking up the squad, I guess.
So yeah, so Craig, I know that there was some feelings after you left the Bulls that you were blackballed. What was that all about?
Well, the fact that you can leave a game and be a world champion 2 times over, a consecutive 3-point title, won it 3 times in a row, and have that under your belt, and you're only 32 years of age, and no one would even talk to you. So for me, that was, and then with, Latex Wonder told me that, he had called every team on my behalf, and the only time in his career when teams didn't call him back to see the person, see what he was talking about as far as the player was concerned. And when he saw that, he told me it was time for me to start coaching.
It's interesting. 2-time NBA champion in 91-92, 3-time NBA three-point champion 90-92. Shot over almost 6,000 points, 563 percent from the field, 40% from three-point land. You were more or less the Colin Kaepernick of that era. And I know a little bit of history about, Craig Hodges and who you are as a person off the court. But do you think during that time that, and any time it's important, but do you think during that time when you made the statement, both physically in your attire going to the White House and verbally, because you approached Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson leading up to the championship to say, we need to make a stance. Did you ever think, hey, maybe I need to step back from this evaluate it and pick a different time to make my statement?
And that's the thing, man, is that to whom much is given, much is required. And when we get on the professional level, I think we've been blessed to be able to do what we can for less fortunate people, man. So for me, it was a no-brainer. And as far as letting people know what's going on with the struggle of poor people of color, and that's what the letter was about. When I went to the White House, it wasn't about trying to embarrass anybody or trying to that the dashiki was a point of protest. That not at all. It was, this is the garment that I'm supposed to wear, the descendant of African people, when we go to our regal events, and that was the most important event I've ever went to in my life. And I wanted to make sure that at that time that I was going to be able to represent, that portion of our world that's not being, represented, man. And, being able to do it after winning the championship was a great thing. So for me, it was one of those things that had to be done. But at the same time, I realized afterwards that it was going to be some repercussions from it. And at the same time, it was going to be something that my family was going to have to struggle through. And at the point of time that I was doing it, I didn't consider that because I felt like my stats and everything else was well enough for me to get another job.
Yeah, you know what? It's interesting. We're on with the great Craig Hodges, former Chicago Bull basketball player, three-point shooting champion, homegrown product of Chicago. That's the one thing I think that many people, and maybe is that what shied some of the players or some of your teammates away from you, is the fact that, they may privately feel and agree with what you stand for, but to jeopardize their reputation and to jeopardize their livelihood, they say they probably step back and say, "Hey, man, you got to handle this on your own."
Right, and you look at that, and once again, the conversations that I would speak of publicly, players spoke of openly in the locker room and other places, but they wouldn't do it openly up to the public. So it's one of those things that it happens, man. And for me, and looking back, I feel blessed to be able to have carried the mantle during that period of time of when it wasn't social media, it wasn't popular, it wasn't an event, so to speak. So it was one of those things that was necessary during that period of time so that, keep the movement going, man, until the next person or persons can pick it up. And that's where we are right now. Everybody has to pull their part, man.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And, I hope that, young folks listening in and can learn a little bit more about who you are as a man and who we are as a people and start doing some good things, some smart things, and doing the right thing. Before we let you go, and we really appreciate you taking time out on this Mother's Day to join us, brother. We really appreciate you, and we support you 100%. My question, we had Bill Cartwright on, and we talked about the Last Dance and, of course, the feud between Michael Jordan and Isaiah Thomas. And I don't know if you heard me when we were talking. I said I believe one reason there's a grudge between Isaiah Thomas and Michael Jordan is the fact that Isaiah, we Chicagoans, man, we love this city, and a lot of us will die, because of what's going on. Isaiah Thomas grew up on the roughest part of the city, that of course the West Side, and Michael Jordan came in here and he became, the beloved figure. And I don't know, man, did Isaiah take a little bit of offense and say, "Hey, wait a minute, this is my town. I'm the basketball god in Chicago. I earned my stripes on the West Side, man. You can't come in here and gangster this town because this is my town, and I don't care if I'm in Detroit or not."
Yeah, Isaiah, it's one of those things where, like you said, Isaiah from the West Side, and then MJ being somewhat of a carpetbagger coming to take over the West Side, and the people in Chicago embraced MJ right off the plane, man. So it's one of those things where it was going to be a public rivalry for who has the most sentiment and who has the most love coming from Chicago. So I could see Isaiah being somewhat salty, but he had, in all honesty, he understood. I'm sure he understood the fact that, the rivalry between us and Detroit was so heated, and him being on the Detroit teams, that it was going to carry some weight with the Chicago fan and the Chicago populace. So he understands the rabid fans that Chicagoans are. So He just has to come in and get in when he fits in after his career is over, and I think the people of Chicago have accepted him back pretty well.
Yeah, we love Isaiah. We love Chicago, but the number one question is, the big question is, and we saw in the docuseries, and Michael's like, hey, it wasn't on me. Can you set the record straight? Why was not Isaiah Thomas not on the 92 Dream Team, in Craig Hodges' opinion?
Right. In my opinion, it was just a matter of, the politics of the game at the time. MJ being who MJ was to the game and to commerce worldwide, that he was going to have somewhat of a say. Now, whether or not he said something or Magic or somebody else, that's that multi-millionaire circle that I wasn't in, man. So some of the conversations I wasn't privy to. But from the outside looking in, you something was skewed against Isaiah when you look in terms of his body of work over his career. There's no reason that he shouldn't have been on that Dream Team, even to the point where I don't know how you can put Christian Laettner on there, even though that y'all want to put that little college vibration in there like we got amateurs still. This is a pro thing, man. Isaiah should have been on it.
Well, they put Christian Laettner on over, I believe, Shaquille O'Neal.
And even that, I'm just saying, it's some things that it is what it is, man. The politics of the game can be ugly sometimes, and when it gets skewed to a point where you can see obvious things go down, obvious to the point where Isaiah should have been on the team, obvious to the point where I should have been signed after we won 2 championships. So there are certain things in the politics of sport that are ugly, but if you look at it and see it for what it is, you can see through it.
Yeah, you certainly can.
Hey Craig, what are you up to now? I see that your old school, Rich East, is closing down after this year.
Yeah, man. What's so crazy, man, is that my elementary school was torn down. My junior high school, they just tore down and getting ready to rebuild another one. My high school is now closed. I'm like, Long Beach, watch out, man. It's crazy, man. I don't understand it. And Park Forest is a crazy thing. Rich East is in the center of Park Forest. Yeah. And with it being gone, man, it's going to be something to see how, the community really reacts to that, man.
Yeah. Long Beach better look out, huh?
Yeah, that's what he said. Hey, Craig.
It's yes.
No, hey, it's the fastest hour in sports conversation, brother. We got to let you go, but we certainly don't want this to be the last time. And, of course, it won't be the last time. Any closing remarks before we say goodbye?
Well, I want to thank everybody for their support, and I have a documentary and a feature film coming out from the people who produced the show Black Mirror from Britain. So there's some good stuff coming up, man. I want to thank you for your support, and everybody be healthy and safe during this period of time, please.
Well, we didn't get a chance to talk about the NBA. Thank you so very much with this pandemic and everything, but we'll certainly invite you back real soon to catch up on some other things. Okay, Craig?
Peace.
Stay safe and well, brother. We appreciate you. Craig Hodges joining us on our TR60 hotline, and he said, hey, Isaiah should have been on the team. I still believe, Marvelous.
Yeah.
It's that Chicago thing coming out of Isaiah. But, hey, you know what? It is what it is, the politics involved, and, the last dance.
The Rewind Sports 60.
Relax, reset, rejuvenate. Go to our link right now to restart your life. TheRewindSports60.com. What are you waiting for? Hope to see you soon. The Rewind Sports 60.